Right now, as you're watching this, millions of people are sitting in their rooms feeling absolutely nothing. Not sadness, not happiness, just this hollow emptiness that follows them everywhere they go. They wake up tired, drag themselves through the day, and collapse into bed wondering when life became so grey. If that sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're experiencing something that's become an epidemic in our world. And tonight, that changes. Here's what nobody tells you about feeling numb. It's not the absence of emotion. It's your mind's way of protecting you from feeling too much for too long. Your emotional system has essentially gone into power-saving mode, like a phone on low battery. But just like that phone, you can charge it back up. You can feel alive again. You can wake up excited about your day instead of dreading it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to break through this emotional fog. Not with generic advice you've heard 1,000 times, but with strategies that actually work when you feel like you're running on empty. Some of these might surprise you. All of them will change how you experience tomorrow morning. Part 1. The Emotional Archaeology Method. There's something buried inside you right now that could change everything. It's not lost forever, even though it feels that way. It's just hiding under layers of numbness, waiting for you to dig it up. But here's the thing that most people get wrong when they're trying to feel something again. They try to manufacture new emotions from thin air. They force themselves to smile, to think positive thoughts, to pretend they're happy. That's like trying to start a fire with wet matches. What if I told you there's a different way? What if instead of creating new feelings, you could excavate the ones that already exist? Your brain hasn't forgotten how to feel joy, excitement, or passion. Those neural pathways are still there. They're just dormant, like seeds waiting for the right conditions to grow. Scientists have discovered something fascinating about memory and emotion. When you recall a vivid memory, your brain doesn't just remember it, it actually relives it. The same neurons that fired when you experienced that moment fire again when you remember it. This isn't just nostalgia, this is neuroplasticity in action. You're literally rewiring your brain to feel again. But there's a specific way to do this that most people miss. You can't just think about happy times and expect magic to happen. You need to become an archaeologist of your own emotions. You need to dig carefully, methodically, with the right tools. Here's what happens when you feel numb. Your brain starts filtering out emotional memories to protect you from overwhelm. It's like your mind has put up a wall between. You just need to know how to find them. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Not just happy, but alive. Your heart was beating fast, time seemed to slow down, and everything felt possible. Maybe it was dancing at a wedding. Maybe it was watching a sunset. Maybe it was laughing until your stomach hurt with friends. That moment is still inside you. It's not gone. It's just waiting for you to remember it properly. Most people make the mistake of analyzing these memories. They try to figure out why they felt good, what conditions created that feeling, how they can recreate those exact circumstances. That's not archaeology. That's autopsy. You're dissecting something that needs to be brought back to life. Real emotional archaeology is different. It's about description, not analysis. It's about feeling, not thinking. When you describe a memory in vivid detail without trying to understand it, something magical happens. Your brain starts to rebuild those neural pathways. The connection between memory and emotion gets stronger. The wall between you and your feelings gets thinner. This is technique number 1 out of 10 that will help you break through emotional numbness. Set a timer for exactly 5 minutes. Get a pen and paper. Don't use your phone or computer for this. The act of writing by hand creates a different kind of connection between your brain and your memories. Now write down the exact moment you remember feeling most alive. Don't think about it first, just start writing. Describe what you saw, what you heard, what you smelled, how your body felt. Write about the temperature of the air, the expression on someone's face, the way the light looked. Don't explain why it made you happy. Don't analyze what it means. Just describe it like you're painting a picture with words. Your brain will do the rest. Those 5 minutes of writing will start a process that continues long after you put the pen down. You're not just remembering, you're rebuilding your capacity to feel. Part 2. The micro-rebellion technique. Every morning you wake up and follow the same invisible script. Brush your teeth the same way, drink coffee from the same mug, take the same route to work, eat lunch at the same time. You probably don't even notice you're doing it, but your numbness notices. Numbness feeds on routine. It grows stronger every time you choose the path you've always chosen. Here's something that will shock you. The reason you feel like a robot isn't because life is boring. It's because you've accidentally programmed yourself to be one. Every time you make the same choice you made yesterday, you're reinforcing the neural pathways that keep you stuck. Your brain literally gets lazy. It stops paying attention. It goes on autopilot. But what if I told you that feeling alive again could be as simple as wearing different socks? What if the key to breaking through emotional numbness? You just need to know how to find them. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Not just happy, but alive. Your heart was beating fast, time seemed to slow down, and everything felt possible. Maybe it was dancing at a wedding. Maybe it was watching a sunset. Maybe it was laughing until your stomach hurt with friends. That moment is still inside you. It's not gone. It's just waiting for you to remember it properly. Most people make the mistake of analyzing these memories. They try to figure out why they felt good, what conditions created that feeling, how they can recreate those exact circumstances. That's not archaeology. That's autopsy. You're dissecting something that needs to be brought back to life. Real emotional archaeology is different. It's about description, not analysis. It's about feeling, not thinking. When you describe a memory in vivid detail without trying to understand it, something magical happens. Your brain starts to rebuild those neural pathways. The connection between memory and emotion gets stronger. The wall between you and your feelings gets thinner. This is technique number 1 out of 10 that will help you break through emotional numbness. Set a timer for exactly 5 minutes. Get a pen and paper. Don't use your phone or computer for this. The act of writing by hand creates a different kind of connection between your brain and your memories. Now write down the exact moment you remember feeling most alive. Don't think about it first, just start writing. Describe what you saw, what you heard, what you smelled, how your body felt. Write about the temperature of the air, the expression on someone's face, the way the light looked. Don't explain why it made you happy. Don't analyze what it means. Just describe it like you're painting a picture with words. Your brain will do the rest. Those 5 minutes of writing will start a process that continues long after you put the pen down. You're not just remembering, you're rebuilding your capacity to feel. Part 2. The micro-rebellion technique. Every morning you wake up and follow the same invisible script. Brush your teeth the same way, drink coffee from the same mug, take the same route to work, eat lunch at the same time. You probably don't even notice you're doing it, but your numbness notices. Numbness feeds on routine. It grows stronger every time you choose the path you've always chosen. Here's something that will shock you. The reason you feel like a robot isn't because life is boring. It's because you've accidentally programmed yourself to be one. Every time you make the same choice you made yesterday, you're reinforcing the neural pathways that keep you stuck. Your brain literally gets lazy. It stops paying attention. It goes on autopilot. But what if I told you that feeling alive again could be as simple as wearing different socks? What if the key to breaking through emotional numbness, that's all your numbness really is? The forgotten knowledge that you have agency in your own life. Your emotions might be stuck, but there's one part of you that's still working perfectly. Your senses are still sharp, still responsive, still connected to the deepest parts of your brain. While your feelings hide behind walls of numbness, your ability to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell remains wide open. This isn't just lucky. This is your way out. Most people trying to overcome numbness make the same mistake. They try to think their way back to feeling. They read books, watch videos, analyze their situation. But emotions don't live in your thinking brain. They live in your body, in your nervous system, in the primitive parts of your brain that respond to sensation before thought even begins. Here's what neuroscientists have discovered about the connection between your senses and your emotions. Every intense sensory experience creates what they call a neural cascade. One strong sensation triggers a chain reaction that wakes up dormant parts of your brain. It's like jump-starting a car with a dead battery. The intense input from your senses provides the electrical charge your emotional system needs to come back online. Think about the last time you felt truly awake and alive. I bet it involved your senses. Maybe it was the taste of incredible food, the feeling of cold ocean water hitting your skin, music so beautiful it gave you chills, or a sunset so stunning it took your breath away. Your senses were the gateway to those feelings. They can be the gateway again. But here's the part that most people miss. Gentle sensory experiences won't cut through numbness. You need intensity. You need sensations strong enough to break through the fog. When you're emotionally numb, your brain has essentially turned down the volume on everything. Subtle inputs don't register. You need something loud enough to get through. This is why people who feel numb often crave extreme experiences. They're not being reckless. They're instinctively trying to feel something, anything. The problem is they usually choose destructive intensity. What if you could choose constructive intensity instead? What if you could overwhelm your senses in ways that heal instead of harm? Your brain doesn't distinguish between positive and negative intensity when it comes to waking up your emotional system. It just needs the intensity. A shock of cold water affects your nervous system the same way as a shock of fear. Extremely spicy food triggers the same neural pathways as extreme anger. The difference is what comes after. Constructive intensity leaves you more alive. Destructive intensity leaves you more numb. This is technique number 3 out of 10. And it's going to feel strange at first. You're going to intentionally overwhelm one of your senses every day for 7 days. Not in a way. You're going to hijack your own sensory system to kickstart your emotional system. Monday is sound day. Find music that moves you and play it loud enough that you feel it in your chest. Not just loud, but loud enough that your whole body becomes a speaker. Let the vibrations wake up parts of you that have been sleeping. Tuesday is taste day. Eat something so spicy that your eyes water, or something so sour that you pucker, or something so sweet that it's almost too much. Push your taste buds past their comfort zone. Wednesday is touch day. Take the coldest shower you can handle, or hold ice cubes until your hands burn, or get a massage deep enough that it hurts in a good way. Let your skin remember what it feels like to be alive. Thursday is smell day. Find the strongest, most beautiful scent you can. Bury your face in flowers, or breathe in fresh bread, or smell the ocean air. Let your nose lead you back to feeling. Friday is sight day. Stare directly at a sunset, or lose yourself in a piece of art, or watch a movie on the biggest screen you can find. overwhelm your eyes with beauty. Your emotions are waiting on the other side of sensation. Let your senses lead you home. 4. The Stranger's Story Exercise. Right now, as you're listening to this, your emotional imagination is probably smaller than it's ever been. When you feel numb, your world shrinks. You stop wondering about other people's lives. You stop creating stories in your head. You stop caring about the human drama happening all around you, every single day. But what if I told you that this shrinking is exactly what's keeping you stuck? Here's something that therapists know but rarely talk about. The size of your emotional world directly affects your ability to feel. When you only think about your own problems, your own routine, your own small circle of experience, your emotional range starts to atrophy. It's like a muscle that stops working when you don't use it. But the reverse is also true. When you expand your emotional imagination, your own capacity for feeling expands with it. Think about when you were a kid. You probably spent hours making up stories about strangers. That old woman at the grocery store was obviously a retired spy. The man walking his dog was secretly a millionaire who chose to live simply. The teenager working at the ice cream shop was saving money to become a doctor. You didn't know these people, but you cared about their imaginary lives. Your emotional world was huge because you let it be. Somewhere along the way you stopped doing this. Maybe it felt childish. Maybe life got too busy. Maybe you decided that reality was complicated enough without adding imaginary complications. But when you stopped imagining other people's stories, you accidentally turned off a crucial part of your emotional system. You stopped practicing empathy, curiosity, and care. Numbness isn't just about not feeling your own emotions. It's about not feeling connected to the emotions happening all around you. Every person you pass on the street is living a complete life, full of dreams, fears, heartbreak, and joy. But when you're numb, they become invisible. They turn into background characters in your own story, instead of main characters in their own stories. This disconnection feeds your numbness. When you only care about your own experience, your emotional world becomes claustrophobic. You get trapped in your own head, recycling the same thoughts and feelings until they lose all meaning. But when you start caring about strangers again, something magical happens. Your emotional world expands. Your capacity for feeling grows. Scientists who study empathy have discovered something incredible. When you imagine what someone else is feeling, your brain actually starts to feel it too. Mirror neurons fire in the same patterns as if you were experiencing those emotions yourself. This isn't just imagination. This is emotional exercise. You're literally working out your feelings by caring about other people's feelings. But here's the key that most people miss. You can't just think about strangers' lives in a general way. You need to get specific. You need to create detailed, elaborate stories that feel real to you. The more vivid the story, the more your brain responds as if it's actually happening. This is technique number 4 out of 10. Every day for the next week, you're going to spend 10 minutes people watching and story creating. Find a place where you can observe strangers without being intrusive. A coffee shop, a park, a busy street corner, a waiting room. Pick one person and create their entire life story. Not just the basics, but the details that make them human. What did they have for breakfast? What's their biggest fear? What made them smile this morning? What are they worried about? What's the best thing that happened to them this month? That woman checking her phone constantly isn't just impatient. She's waiting to hear if she got the job she interviewed for yesterday. That man feeding pigeons isn't just killing time. He's been coming here every day since his wife died, because this is where they used to walk together. That teenager with headphones isn't just listening to music, she's practicing for the audition that could change her entire life. Your emotional imagination is like a garden. When you tend it, it grows. When you ignore it, it withers. 10 minutes a day of caring about strangers will bring your own capacity for caring back to life. Part 5. The Opposite Day Challenge. Every habit you have when you feel numb is making you more numb. Think about that for a second. The things you do, you order takeout because cooking feels like too much effort, but the convenience makes you feel more disconnected from your own life. This isn't your fault. When you're emotionally depleted, you naturally choose the path of least resistance. Your brain is trying to conserve energy for what it thinks are more important functions. But here's the problem. The path of least resistance when you're numb leads to more numbness. It's not actually helping you recover. It's helping you stay stuck. Psychologists call this behavioral activation deficit. When you feel numb, you stop doing the things that would make you feel better, because those things require energy you don't feel like you have. But the less you do, the less energy you actually have. It becomes a downward spiral, where each choice to do nothing makes the next choice to do nothing easier. Breaking this cycle requires something that might sound impossible when you're feeling numb. You need to do the opposite of what your numbness wants you to do. Not forever, not in huge ways, but consistently enough to prove to your brain that the spiral can be reversed. Here's what most people don't understand about habits and emotions. Every behavior sends a signal to your brain about who you are and how you feel. When you choose to stay in bed, you're telling your brain that you're someone who has no energy. When you choose to scroll instead of engage, you're telling your brain that you're someone who finds life boring. Your brain believes these signals and adjusts your energy levels accordingly. But the reverse is also true. When you choose to get up even when you don't want to, you're telling your brain that you're someone who has agency. When you choose to call a friend instead of scrolling, you're telling your brain that you're someone who values connection. Your brain starts to believe these signals too. This isn't about positive thinking or forcing yourself to feel happy. This is about behavioral intervention. You're using your actions to change your brain chemistry instead of waiting for your brain chemistry to change your actions. It's like priming a pump. You have to put water in before water comes out. The key is to start small and be strategic. You're not trying to completely reverse your lifestyle overnight. You're trying to send new signals to your brain about what kind of person you're becoming. Each opposite choice is evidence that you're changing, that you're not stuck, that you have more power than your numbness wants you to believe. This is technique number 5 out of 10. For the next 7 days, you're going to do the opposite of your numb habits. Not all of them, not all the time, but one small opposite choice each day. The goal isn't to feel better immediately. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can override the autopilot of numbness. If you normally stay in bed scrolling your phone in the morning, get up and go outside instead. If you usually eat alone while watching TV, call someone and eat while talking to them. If you typically avoid people when you go out, make eye contact and smile at strangers. If you always order the same safe food, try something completely different. If you habitually say, "I'm fine," when people ask how you are, tell them one honest thing about your day instead. Each opposite choice disrupts the pattern that keeps you numb. Each small rebellion against your habits is proof that you're not as stuck as you think. Your numbness thrives on predictability. Opposite day destroys predictability and starts to destroy numbness with it. Part 6. The Emotional Time Travel Method. Your brain has a superpower that you're probably not using. It can't tell the difference between something you're vividly imagining and something that's actually happening. Right now, if you imagine biting into a sour lemon, your mouth starts to water. If you imagine your favorite song, you might start humming along. If you imagine someone you love, you feel warmth in your chest. Your brain responds to detailed imagination as if it's reality. This isn't just interesting. When you're stuck in numbness, this is your secret weapon. While you're trapped in a present that feels grey and meaningless, your brain can experience a future that's full of colour and purpose. But most people use this power backwards. They imagine worst-case scenarios, rehearse conversations that might go wrong, or replay painful memories. They accidentally train their brains to expect more pain. What if you could train your brain to expect joy instead? What if you could use your imagination not to escape reality, but to create a reality worth living? This isn't about positive thinking or pretending everything is fine. This is about giving your brain a roadmap to a better future, by making that future feel real before it happens. Scientists studying neuroplasticity have discovered something incredible about hope and healing. When people vividly imagine their recovery, their brains start creating the neural pathways necessary to make that recovery real. Athletes use this technique to improve performance. They visualize perfect games in such detail that their muscles actually remember the movements. You can do the same thing with emotions. But here's where most people go wrong with visualization. They imagine vague, general improvements. I want to feel better, or I hope things get easier. Your brain needs specifics to work with. It needs details, sensations, conversations, moments. The more specific your imagination, the more real it becomes to your neural system. Think about this. A year from now, you could be completely different. The numbness you feel right now could be just a memory. You could wake up excited about your day. You could feel curious about strangers. You could laugh until your stomach hurts. Part 7. The Friction Addition Principle. Modern life has been designed to be frictionless. You can order food with one tap, communicate without speaking, buy things without leaving your house, and entertain yourself without creating anything. Every inconvenience has been solved, every delay eliminated, every small effort removed. This sounds like paradise, but it's actually creating a nightmare for people who feel numb. Here's what nobody talks about when they praise convenience. Friction isn't just an obstacle to overcome. Friction is what makes you present, what makes you conscious, what makes you feel alive. When everything becomes effortless, you stop paying attention. When you stop paying attention, you start to disappear from your own life. Think about the last time you felt truly engaged with something. I bet it involved some kind of effort. Maybe you were learning a skill that challenged you, solving a problem that required focus, or creating something with your hands. That engagement didn't happen despite the difficulty. It happened because of the difficulty. Your brain comes alive when it has to work for something. Numbness loves the path of least resistance. It feeds on automation, convenience, and mindless consumption. Every time you choose the easier option, you're training your brain to expect less engagement from life. Every shortcut you take is a shortcut away from feeling present in your own experience. But the reverse is also true. When you intentionally add small amounts of productive friction to your day, your brain wakes up. It starts paying attention again. You become present in moments you would normally sleepwalk through. This isn't about making your life harder for no reason. This is about making your life more conscious on purpose. Scientists who study mindfulness and presence have discovered something fascinating. The human brain is designed to pay attention to things that require effort. It's an evolutionary feature that kept our ancestors alive. When something is easy, your brain assumes it's safe to zone out. When something requires attention, your brain snaps into focus. You can use this ancient wiring to pull yourself out of modern numbness. By adding small amounts of intentional friction to routine activities, you transform mindless habits into mindful experiences. You turn autopilot moments into opportunities for presence. This is technique number 7 out of 10. For the next week, you're going to add gentle friction to activities you normally do on autopilot. Not enough friction to frustrate you, but enough to wake up your brain and make you present. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs and pay attention to how your body feels with each step. Instead of typing notes on your phone, write them by hand and notice the sensation of the pen on paper. Instead of ordering takeout, cook something simple and focus on each ingredient, each smell, each step of the process. When you walk somewhere, and notice your surroundings. When you eat, do it without any distractions and taste every bite. When you have a conversation, make eye contact and listen without planning what to say next. When you get dressed, feel the texture of each piece of clothing. Replace one convenient habit each day with its more effortful alternative. Drive the scenic route instead of the fastest one. Read a physical book instead of scrolling articles on your phone. Write a letter instead of sending a text. Make coffee by hand instead of pressing a button. Each small friction you add is a moment of presence you steal back from numbness. Each tiny effort is proof that you're willing to participate in your own life again. Your brain starts to remember what engagement feels like. Your consciousness starts to expand from the single point of passive consumption into the full experience of active living. Numbness can't survive in the presence of intentional effort. Add friction, add presence, add life back to your days. Part 8. The Gratitude Archaeology Approach. If you're feeling numb, you've probably been told to practice gratitude. Make a list of things you're thankful for, count your blessings, focus on the positive. But when you tried it, nothing happened. You wrote down the same generic items everyone writes down: health, family, shelter, and felt exactly the same afterward. That's because traditional gratitude practice doesn't work when you're emotionally numb. Here's why regular gratitude fails when you're struggling. Your brain has built walls around positive experiences to protect you from disappointment. When you try to feel grateful for big, obvious things, those walls block the feeling from getting through. It's like trying to light a candle in a hurricane. The flame gets snuffed out before it can catch. But what if instead of trying to force gratitude for major things, you became an archaeologist of tiny positive moments? What if instead of listing what you should be grateful for, you hunted for things that actually made you smile this week, even slightly? Not life-changing moments, but micro moments of lightness that somehow slipped past your emotional defenses. Your brain is filtering out positive experiences to protect you from hope and potential disappointment. But it's not perfect at this filtering. Some small good things still get through. A funny meme that made you exhale through your nose. The way sunlight hit your wall at just the right angle. Coffee that tasted better than usual for no reason you can identify. These moments are evidence that your capacity for joy still exists. Most people dismiss these tiny positive moments as meaningless. They're looking for big gratitude, obvious blessings, clear reasons to feel thankful. But when you're numb, tiny positive moments are actually more valuable than big ones. They're proof that your emotional system is still working, just quietly. They're breadcrumbs leading back to your ability to feel good. Scientists who study depression and emotional recovery have discovered something important about positive attention training. When you actively search for small positive details, you literally rewire your brain to notice more of them. It's not fake positivity. It's training your attention to see what's already there but being overlooked. This is different from forced gratitude because you're not trying to feel grateful for things that don't actually affect you emotionally. You're training yourself to notice things that already created small positive responses. You're becoming a detective of your own moments of lightness. This is technique number 8 out of 10. Instead of traditional gratitude practice, you're going to become an archaeologist of micro-positivity. Every evening for the next week, you're going to hunt for 3 things that made you smile, even slightly, during that day. Not things you think you should be grateful for, but things that actually created a small positive response in your body or mind. Maybe it was the way your pet looked when they were sleeping. Maybe it was a song that came on at just the right moment. Maybe it was the smell of someone's cooking wafting through a window. Maybe it was a stranger who held a door open. Maybe it was the feeling of clean sheets against your skin. The key is specificity and authenticity. Don't write "I'm grateful for my health." Write "the way my shoulders felt when I stretched after sitting at my desk for 2 hours." Don't write "I'm grateful for my friends." Write The laugh my friend made when I told them about my weird dream this morning. You're training your brain to become a collector of small good moments instead of a filter that blocks them out. Each micro-positive moment you notice and record becomes evidence that your world contains more light than your numbness wants you to believe. You're not manufacturing fake gratitude. You're excavating real moments of lightness that were there all along. Your emotional range will start to expand from the recognition of what's already working, rather than the forced appreciation of what isn't. Part 9. The Energy Investment Strategy. When you feel numb, everyone tells you to do more, exercise more, socialize more, try new hobbies, expand your horizons. But you know what that advice feels like when you have no energy. It feels like someone telling you to run a marathon when you can barely walk to the mailbox. The problem isn't that you need more activities in your life. The problem is that you're spreading what little energy you have too thin across too many things that don't matter to you anymore. Here's what actually happens when you feel emotionally depleted. Your capacity for caring becomes extremely limited. It's like your emotional bank account has almost no money left in it. When people tell you to do more things, they're essentially telling you to make more withdrawals from an already empty account. But what if instead of making more transactions, you made fewer, bigger investments? Think about how a dying phone behaves. When the battery gets low, it automatically shuts down non-essential functions to preserve power for what matters most. Your emotional system is doing the same thing. It's not broken. It's trying to survive by conserving whatever carrying capacity you have left. Fighting this system makes you more depleted. Working with it can help you recover. Most people in your situation make the mistake of trying to care equally about everything. Their job, their relationships, their health, their hobbies, their appearance, their future. Everything gets the same thin layer of attention. But when you only have a small amount of emotional energy to work with, spreading it evenly means nothing gets enough to actually thrive. What if you gave yourself permission to care deeply about just one thing for a while? What if you took all your available emotional energy and poured it into the single relationship, goal, or activity that still has even 1% of spark left for you? This isn't giving up on everything else. This is strategic recovery. When you concentrate your limited emotional energy instead of diluting it, something powerful happens. That one area of focus starts to come alive again. And when one area of your life starts feeling meaningful again, it creates energy that spills over into other areas. It's like lighting one candle in a dark room. That single flame doesn't illuminate everything, but it proves that light is possible. The key is choosing the right thing to invest in. It can't be something you think you should care about. It has to be something that still generates even the smallest genuine interest when you think about it. Maybe it's one friendship that still feels warm when you consider it. Maybe it's a creative project that occasionally sparks curiosity. Maybe it's a cause that still makes you feel something when you read about it. This is technique number 9 out of 10. Look at your life and identify the one relationship, hobby, goal, or activity that still has even 1% of genuine spark left for you. It might be barely flickering, but it's still there. That's your investment target. For the next 2 weeks, you're going to pour all your available emotional energy into that one thing. This means saying no to other demands on your attention. This means disappointing people who want you to spread yourself thin again. This means focusing intensely on nurturing the one small flame you have left instead of trying to light a dozen new fires. If it's a relationship, reach out to that person more than usual. If it's a creative project, work on it even when you don't feel inspired. If it's a cause, volunteer or donate or read about it regularly. If it's a hobby, practice it even when it feels mechanical at first. You're not trying to care about everything again immediately. You're trying to remember what it feels like to care deeply about one thing. Once you rediscover that feeling, your capacity for caring will start to expand naturally to include more of your life. Part 10. The Identity Expansion Exercise. Every day, dozens of times a day, people ask you how you are, and every day, dozens of times a day, you probably give the same automatic response. I'm fine. I'm tired, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there. These aren't just casual responses, they're identity statements. Every time you describe yourself the same way, you're reinforcing who you think you are, and who you think you are directly affects how you feel. Here's something most people don't realize about language and identity. The words you use to describe yourself don't just reflect your reality, they create it. When you repeatedly say, "I'm tired," your brain starts to expect tiredness. When you consistently say, "I'm fine," your brain learns to aim for fine instead of great. When you habitually describe yourself as stuck, struggling, or numb, you're programming your identity around those states. This isn't just psychology, this is neuroscience. Every time you speak, you're activating neural pathways that reinforce whatever you're saying. When you describe yourself as someone who feels numb, those neural pathways get stronger. Your brain starts to see numbness as part of your core identity instead of a temporary state you're experiencing. But the reverse is also true. When you start describing yourself differently, you start becoming different. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually and genuinely. Your brain starts building new neural pathways around your new identity. You begin to act in ways that match how you describe yourself. You start to become the person you claim to be. Most people wait to feel different before they start talking differently about themselves, but when you're numb, waiting for feelings to change is like waiting for a broken engine to fix itself. You need to change something external first to jumpstart the internal process. Your words are the most powerful external tool you have. Think about people who have recovered from depression, addiction, or trauma. They don't just feel different, they talk about themselves differently. They don't say, "I am depressed." They say, "I experienced depression." They don't say, "I am broken." They say, "I am healing." The language shift isn't just describing change, it's creating change. This is technique number 10 out of 10. For the next 7 days, you're going to expand your identity by changing how you introduce yourself to the world. Not in big, dramatic ways that feel fake, but in small, honest ways that point toward who you're becoming instead of who you've been. Instead of "I'm tired," try "I'm someone who's learning to have more energy." Instead of "I'm fine," try "I'm someone who's rediscovering what excites me." Instead of "I'm struggling," try "I'm in the process of figuring things out." Instead of "I'm numb," try "I'm learning to feel again." When people ask how your day was, instead of "it was okay," try "I'm noticing more small good moments." When someone asks about your weekend plans, instead of "nothing much," try "I'm experimenting with doing things differently." The key is honesty within possibility. You're not lying about how you feel. You're describing the direction you're moving instead of the place you're stuck. You're introducing yourself as someone in process rather than someone in stasis. Pay attention to how people respond differently when you describe yourself as someone who's growing instead of someone who's stuck. Notice how your own energy changes when you speak about yourself as someone who's learning instead of someone who's failing. Language shapes reality more than reality shapes language. Change your words. Change your world. Change how you introduce yourself. Change who you become. Your identity isn't fixed. It's fluid, and it's waiting for you to give it new instructions about who you're becoming. You just learned 10 ways to break through emotional numbness that have nothing to do with forcing yourself to feel happy or pretending everything is fine. These aren't just techniques. They're invitations back to your own life. The truth is, you're not as stuck as you think you are. Your numbness isn't permanent. It's protective, and it served a purpose. But that purpose is ending. Every small action you take against the patterns that keep you numb is proof that you're ready to feel alive again. Start with just one technique. Maybe it's the 5-minute archaeology of a moment when you felt truly alive. Maybe it's adding one small friction to tomorrow's routine. Maybe it's imagining yourself differently when someone asks how you are. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. You just need to take one step away from the patterns that have been keeping you asleep. Your emotional system hasn't forgotten how to work. It's just been in power-saving mode, waiting for the right signal to come back online. These techniques are that signal. The choice is between staying asleep and starting to wake up. Choose to wake up. Your life is waiting for you to come back to it.